Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome back to the 2013 MLG Winter Championship event. StarCraft 2 Heart of the Storm is the game we're playing right now. We just saw Stefano kind of lost to last.
Last looks so dominant in those games. So that guy is so amazingly good. Perfect ratio of units, perfect strategies in every single map of that set.
Yep.
Somebody definitely look out for further down this tournament. Potentially in the finals.
No, yeah, Last is really good coming from Korea, coming from Pro League, has that experience. Of course, we should introduce ourselves, probably. I'm axeltoss, joined by axslav. We commentate full-time for MLG. You might have seen us at the Winter Season Showdowns, of course, throughout the weekend so far, and we're very excited to bring you Polt versus Creator. That's going to be the next match coming your way. Of course, the winner of this best-of-5 series will advance on to face Life, and the loser will be out of the tournament.
Very, very tough future opponent here. Of course, first step is going to be no easy matter here. Polt versus Creator, a bit of a grudge match. I mean, Polt took down Creator 5-1 in an IPL Fight Club about 3 weeks ago.
That was Heart of the Storm, right?
Yes, okay. It was Heart of the Storm. It wasn't a beta, maybe one patch ago.
Right.
But as far as PvT goes, those patches didn't make dramatic changes. So
the only big one is like the Widowmine against Protoss.
Yes.
Was that?
Yes.
That was one of them.
So I mean that just makes Polt even stronger. so Creator's got some work to do, but you know he's well known for a very upgrade-focused macro style of PvT, and the question this match is going to be, can he execute that macro style against the harass-based, drop style that Polt likes to use?
Polt has been practicing super hard for this tournament. He's actually living in Texas right now, so he's literally a Texas local. He's attending the University of Texas right now in Austin, and he headed on over here last night to start getting ready for his match. So it should be a great best-of-5 in store for us. Of course, Creator coming all the way from Korea, qualified through the Winter Season Showdowns, and so did Polt. So it's people are looking for a foreigner hope. Is Polt might be considered one, right? Maybe. He's in the U.S. now.
Yeah, I mean, I think you could probably consider him that. Of course, studied in a university in Texas full time. Kind of like Violet, very, very similar to Violet.
Mm-hmm. Actually, similar management from both of them, I believe. So
yes, CSN.
Yeah.
Great group of guys. They're trying to help out some of these Korean players who are moving to America, getting education there, as well as continuing their passion of StarCraft 2.
Well, the countdown has completed. You see Polt shifting around in his booth, getting ready. And here we go into Aquilon Waste, game number 1 of this best-of-5, to determine once again who advances on to the next round and who gets knocked out of this tournament. Of course, this is one of those matches that everyone has been looking forward to. 2 of the premier Korean players coming to this tournament. Of course, it's kind of hard to say that, considering it seems like every player is really, really good. But this is the matchup that everyone's like, all right, 3-2 this direction, 3-2 this direction, and we'll have to see what happens. Spawning in the top left-hand location, we have a red Protoss player from Team Prime. He is Creator. His opponent in the bottom right-hand side of Aquilon Wastes, the blue Terran player currently living in Texas, a possible favorite to win this tournament. He is Polt.
One thing we can definitely say is Polt is a master of Terran versus Protoss. Historically, it's always been his strongest matchup, and Heart of the Storm has only accelerated that, going 5-1 against Creator earlier in IPL Fight Club, going 3-0 against Liquid Hero to qualify for this event. If I was a Protoss going up against Polt, I would be extremely scared.
Shivering in your boots, dare I say?
I would be. But, of course, Creator is not me. Creator is actually known for kind of revolutionizing the Protoss versus Terran style about a year back. He was the guy who said, no, let's go fast upgrades, double forge, and then all of a sudden you don't need to purely have your AoE do the work. Your gateway units can actually do a decent job if you prioritize those upgrades. So he's pioneered this matchup before. Can he do so again here in Heart of the Storm?
There's a lot of pioneering to be had. Of course, it's a very new game, lots of new play styles. We're seeing lots of new strategies as well. And the challenge has been in PvT lately, at least in this matchup. What can the Protoss do to kind of, I think the big thing is going to be the drop play from Polt. Aquilon Waste, there's a lot of maneuverability around additional bases, the natural expansion, the third base. There's a lot of airspace back there, in between the main and third of the Protoss. So if you don't have an observer out there, you don't see these medevacs coming. And even if you do have an observer, there's an ability called Ignite Afterburners. You zip the medevacs in there, and if you're caught off guard, it's not going to be fun. Polt, I feel like that could be a great strategy from him. We've seen lots of Terrans resort to that medevac play, but we see him opening with a Reaper here, which I'm okay with.
I really like the Reaper openings against Protoss. We saw in some of the other Terran vs. Protoss series how important it is for Terran to scout, particularly in the MVP versus Feast matchup. When MVP was able to figure out what Feast is going for, he's able to counter it, know whether he needs to play defensively or offensively. And MVP did that by hiding an SCV and having an idle SCV in the corner of the map for about 3 minutes until it went in and scouted from a weird angle. And the Reaper can do a similar job, but without having to take that same economic cut of having an idle SCV. So I really like this opening, of course. It slows your command center just a little bit to get that gas in the Reaper out before the command center. But it's not a significant delay, and if you can skip the SCV scout, I think it's a worthy investment.
Polt's going to apply Creator is going to apply a bit of pressure here. Has to be careful not to let that Reaper flank behind him and go after that mineral line. He's going to send a Mothership Core across the field. He's got a Zealot and a second Stalker on the way out of the gateway. He chrono boosted the first Stalker out. A relatively fast Mothership Core, so he definitely wants to get some damage done here. And Polt, he opened with that Reaper, so that's something that's not necessarily going to help back home. It's meant for that zip in, dip it, and dodge into the main of the natural, but it looks like
the Reaper did stop the Nexus. So Creator now has to send another probe to build that Nexus. That little 20-second delay can play a big role as the game goes on. At the same time, a bunker at the front discouraged Creator's front push from doing anything. Of course, the Zealot walked up there, took a few bullets and said, you know what, let's not get shot anymore. Scuttles away back to defend against Reaper, while the Mothership Core says, hold on, I'll go around the bunker and try to do some harass from the skies.
See if we can get that done. Of course, the safe move there from Polt, getting that relatively early bunker, making sure no shenaniganery happens. The Reaper jumping into the natural expansion there, getting decently low in health, down to 20 HP, but the Stalker going to be fending him away. But yeah, there goes the Mothership Core into that natural expansion. There are a few Marines on the field, so you have to be a little bit careful not to overextend and lose that Mothership Core for free. But Creator just poking, getting some scouting done, making absolute sure that natural expansion is there. And it looks like both these guys going to start transitioning to the mid game.
It definitely looks like it. We can see here, Polt knows that Creator built that Nexus, so he's not worried about oracles in his mineral line quite yet. He knows to put everything at the front. I do like how he is getting the Widow Mine, though. That can help a lot against the Mothership Core harass. You can catch him by surprise with that. You can even put it out by a Watchtower if your opponent is busy defending against Reaper. And then next time they send a Stalker to take that, you get a free kill and, of course, the map control.
Reaper getting back into the main base. This is the advantage of going for that early Reaper. It can be so helpful throughout the game, not only trying to get some probe kills, but of course that important scouting information. Will it get killed? Nope.
No, this guy's too fast. Although two Stalkers are trying to cut him off. So one Stalker going to each Watchtower, going to try to keep very close tabs on this Reaper, but the Reaper is going to
jump to the Watchtower. Yep.
Oh, and he gets a high ground Stalker, can't quite get him. The Reaper should be able to escape without a problem. Polt making such great use of that. And then behind us, of course, building up his Widow Mines, building up his Bioforce, Stim Pack on the way, 2 barracks, a third barracks actually, delaying his starport a little bit, which is interesting. We saw MVP, for example, doing similar openings, but instead of getting the 3 barracks very fast, getting the starport much faster, and then adding the extra barracks.
I mean, if we're talking about Wings of Liberty compared to Heart of the Swarm, you always talk about that medevac timing with the Marines and the Marauders. Adding in 2 or 3 Widow Mines, that could be a great supplementation to that bio army, assuming you don't accidentally, like a probe runs and then the Widow Mine attacks the probe and the probe is running into your Marines and then your Marines explode. No, you don't want the friendly fire stuff to happen, but as forward supplementation, it can make that 2-base push that much stronger. Of course, behind it, generally taking that third command center.
No third command center quite yet for Polt. So it could be like you're saying, maybe you're going to wait to do it behind that push. +1's on the way. 2 Marauders at a time. So this is something we also saw from MVP, I believe it was, going double Tech Lab. And in Wings of Liberty, the standard was to go double Reactor 1 Tech Lab. So this little Marauder heavy focus could be a reaction to the fact that because drop play is so strong, many Protosses are shying a little bit away from Zealots and more towards Stalkers with Blink to try to deflect those drops. Of course, Creator hasn't decided to get either Charge or Blink yet, going very, very, very fast Colossi attack. as well as just getting the upgrades off a single forge. So we'll probably see Creator get the +1 weapons after the armor because he doesn't have the Twilight Council to go up to the +2 armor. Just as I said, adding Twilight Council right there. So we'll have to see if he's going to go Blinker Charge first as the game goes on.
I'd like to see him have a little bit more gateways, especially since against such a strong drop player like Polt. If you're only having Colossi and 3 Warp Gates behind it, it can be pretty tricky when your Terran opponent is going to start spreading you out with pressuring the front and then moving a medevac into your main base. That's a lot of stuff to worry about, and your Colossus becomes so important. If you lose it, essentially it's going to be game over. So Creator, he has to focus on keeping this Colossus alive, these Colossi alive, being as cost efficient as he can, and we'll have to see if Polt is confident enough to try to load up a drop, send it to the main, maybe do some pressure up into the natural expansion. But what's helpful for Creator here is having that Mothership Core. He has the ability to not only time warp, but also put a Photon Overcharge onto his Nexus, which helps tremendously against those pushes from a Terran player.
Polt was also unable to realize there's an Observer watching his entire army, so Creator knows there were 4 Widow Mines. He knows they've been spread out around the map. He's now been repositioning that Observer, trying to find where all those Widow Mines are while he guards the front with that very strong defensive army of the Mothership Core, couple sentries as well as the 2 Colossi.
I love how Polt is also placing these Widow Mines at the possible third bases of Creator. If a probe ever tries to go and start setting up that expansion, it could get a little bit dangerous.
Said probe just poked down the ramp and actually decided to head back up. So it's an indecisive probe holding the crystal. Oh, you know why? It's because Observer spotted the Widow Mine. So now 2 Stalkers heading here to take that out. So a great catch by Creator, and that all comes down to the fact that he had an Observer on Polt's army when he spread out those Widow Mines. So he knew this type of technique was coming there. But Polt is, that wasn't his only trick in the book. He still has plenty of medevacs here and a very marauder-heavy force ready to seize any opportunity Creator gives him if there's any opening in Creator's defenses.
These guys are showing so much respect for each other. We haven't seen any major altercation. We're approaching the 13-minute mark of the game, which means these guys don't want to necessarily commit to that concave that their opponent might have. But that being said, Polt loading up 3 medevacs going straight to the main, but Creator has a lot of Stalkers waiting.
A very good army split by Creator. Plenty of Stalkers and Zealots in the main, but 3 full medevacs, maybe too much. Another Colossus is about to pop out of that robotics battle. That could be what Creator needs to hold off this attack. Doing amazing damage to these Stalkers. Blink being used to keep them safe as well. And a very strong defense by Creator, but at the same time, Polt may cancel that third base.
Polt storming into that third base of Creator with a bunch of Marines and Marauders. Colossus coming down, trying to protect him. Creator is going to lose it, not able to cancel it, but is Polt going to forfeit these Marines and Marauders? Going to try to get away. Nice force field there from Creator. And all that being done, Polt still has that third on the ground. Polt has that slight supply advantage. But generally, you want to be a little bit higher as Terran.
I mean, right before that exchange, Polt had about a 30 food advantage. So Polt took a very bad army trade in exchange for canceling the third base. And the question is, was it worth it? It's really hard to tell because Creator's got great upgrades. And even though he doesn't have that third base as fast, his army's looking very scary just because he hasn't really lost anything yet. There's 3 Colossi on the field. He's got +3 armor on the way. He's got an Archon in his competition as well. So, you don't need as much economy if you're trading very efficiently, which so far Creator has done. It's a very even game so far.
I really like this style from Creator, going for the lower gateway count, really trying to get those Colossi out on the field. And you can kind of afford to do that. Of course, taking a third is going to be a little bit more difficult, which we saw Polt able to deny his opponent's third, but you can afford to leave some Stalkers in your main base to defend against drops, because again, you have that Mothership Core, you have that ability. It's just so much safety as a Protoss player. You can just always lay that Photon Overcharge down at your natural, so you never really have to be scared of losing your natural or dying to a scary push. Of course, Creator has been on top of his scouting, making sure his opponent isn't trying to formulate some sort of all-in, scouting the additional bases, and now Creator is finally going to be able to get that third base up and running. So I wouldn't give the advantage to either player necessarily at this point in time. I mean, even upgrades seem relatively even. Economy seems relatively even as well. It's going to come down to maybe even a Storm transition, but already Polt putting down that Ghost Academy. So it seems like he's one step ahead of his opponent as far as tech is concerned.
He is. There's one thing to note about Creator's plays. Creator rarely uses High Templar against Terran. It's perhaps why he revolutionized the matchup about a year ago, but then since then, other Protoss players like Parting have kind of taken a larger role, or Rain, or Squirtle, for example. Just because of the Templar usage. Creator's not so much known for his Templar usage. He's more known for controlling a highly upgraded Colossi, gateway composition very, very well. But as the armies get larger and larger and larger, this composition starts to fall off a bit once the Terran gets enough Vikings to deal with your Colossi army.
Marauders stepping forward, going to try to snipe down one of the Colossi down to the orange to the red, and one Colossus is taken out. Nice trade there from Polt. He's happy to make those trades. Again, he's trading a little bit of bio for one of those big, scary Colossus. And Polt, he's essentially maxed right now. He's at 194 out of 200 supply, and Creator's only at 161. Creator kind of coming across the map, though, which scares me a little bit, because if Polt plays this correctly, he could potentially try to outflank, take advantage of his Vikings being on a high ground, taking down Colossi, and try to give himself an army position edge.
He definitely could. In fact, Polt looks like he wants to try to force engagement before Storm completes. Vikings taking the high ground. Creator on the retreat.
One does not simply retreat Colossus. He needs some more supplementation underneath. Colossus getting very low in health. And is this the danger of not having Storm? Zealots trying to extend more of the Vikings, taking down all the Colossus, which means not a lot of area of effect damage here for Creator. No Colossi, no High Templar. Archon's trying to make something happen, but Polt a little bit too good for that. Kiting away his Marines and Marauders, spreading him out as efficiently as he can. And all of a sudden, just like that, he has a 172 to 124 supply advantage. And now Creator's going to be on the run. And he has Storm about to finish. So Creator taking that engagement without Storm, trying to go for a Zealot flank, but I think those Zealots might end up being forfeit. Great engagement there from Polt.
A really great engagement there. He had the Viking camp to deal with the Colossi force of Creator. And of course, once those Colossi went down, Archons, Immortals or not, that gateway composition can't really stand up to the Bio Force when it's maxed, like what Polt had.
Yeah, I mean, Polt can just continue kiting. Like, that's the advantage. I mean, imagine if force fields are there, or a Time Warp is there, or if Storm is there, or Colossi are there, you're going to be more cost efficient. Now, we see Creator taking down these rocks leading towards his fourth base, it's going to be. But meanwhile, Polt, he's had 4 bases. He has, I think he's approaching 5 orbital commands. His economy, maybe 6, adding on a 7th. So his economy is going to turn ridiculous. It's going to get to a point where he can send his hardworking SCVs across the map, say, you know what, we're sacrificing you for the greater good, and then just start pumping up his army supply. And he's going to love that position, because then if you're comparing the supplies, like, Polt's going to be down by 40 harvesters or something, but he has those mules, so it's not really a big issue for him. That's a scary looking drop.
That's always what
at the top, by the way.
A great split army by Polt. Either half of his armies look exceedingly dangerous here. 4 medevacs across the top. Basically 4 medevacs of units walking across the bottom, striking towards the natural no, heading towards the third. The main is under heavy fire. Creator with a good army split up. I think he may just have barely not quite enough in the main, but he should be able to hold the third. But no, the Nexus focus, that third is going to go down as well.
And he could theoretically just lift off and run out of here with his Marines and Marauders, but doesn't even have to. Going to continue trying to kite away from these Zealots. Going to target down that Archon. Meanwhile, in the main base, the Marauders finally going to get sliced up by those charge lots. Polt going to boost out of there, but he did lose a lot of supply. However, he took down that third base from his opponent. Now Creator is only on 2 Nexuses, only 1 mining base while he's trying to rebuild. Actually, the 4th base is just now finishing, but again, behind this Polt, oh, there's a Warp Prism in his 4th.
Oh, Creator trying to do some counter harass of his own, but Polt's units are there so fast. The Zealot's not even getting a single SCV before the Bioforce takes him out without a problem. Creator's problems are going to multiply now as Coke is finishing. 3-3 is now going to be finished from the bio as well, so Creator will no longer have that upgrade advantage he had previously. In fact, upgrade advantage is going to be going to Polt now, with Creator not having that third attack quite yet.
Yeah.
Polt's also, his Vikings are getting a third attack over on the way. Even more command centers being built, missile turrets being added to ward off any potential DT play, and even putting it over there on the far right side of that third base to make sure Warp Prisms can't sneak in there. So Polt's really buttoning up and saying, you know what, I know my economy is better, I know my upgrades are equal now, I'm just going to max out, keep my good economy, and keep doing army trades, and you won't be able to keep replenishing your army as fast as I can.
I mean, it feels like he's happy to make these trades. You can't go too crazy. You can't go too crazy, but as long as you're trading a few bio for a Nexus here, a Nexus there, some probes here, some probes there, some expensive Archons, Colossi, High Templar, then it's going to be okay. If it gets to the point where you're not getting those cost-efficient trades, you got to start reevaluating your strategy and coming at it from a different angle. But Polt going to be dropping in the main base once again, sending another army to that third. He's been doing this all game long, and it has proven to be very good indeed. Creator trying to deal with this as best as he can, but he's definitely going to have to cancel that base at the middle left. And again, these Marines and Marauders can just pick up and leave if they want, but there's not even going to be enough units to deal with this. Stalkers and Zealots being warped in, but Polt is still at 193 supply, showing commanding play in this game number 1.
And his drop from the third is actually, or army to hit the third is now going to rejoin the other one in the main. The other drop in the main is still going strong, getting many kills. Now it's going to go back and hit the, I guess, the other third baser. Polt is absolutely everywhere. The Medivacs, again, going back. They could even hit the natural or he's just relentless, striking every single location all at the same time.
And he's targeting down that Nexus at the third, too. So Polt just killing every single economic building here. He might even kill the natural. Creators are careful, but no, warping in a lot of Zealots there. Has an arc on there as well, but Polt is having so much fun with these Medivacs, with these Marines and Marauders. Dipping and dodge and in between the main and the natural and the third and the fourth, and Creator is spread out absolutely everywhere. Meanwhile, Polt, he's macroing. He's got 2 Medivacs on him. He's got 5 ghosts. He's continuing with upgrades. He's taking 6 bases. Creator throwing down the GG. Polt taking game number 1 very convincingly.
A very convincing play. You know, some of the trades on the drops weren't that great, but he always had just strong economy behind it. All he wanted to do was get any trade, and he knew he would grind Creator out. And that last flurry of drops at the end was just pure artwork.
Yeah, it's, I mean, as a as a guy who mostly plays Protoss, it's a little bit hard to watch all those Medivacs zip everywhere. But no, it was really awesome to watch in a different sense. In that Polt was doing all of this multitasking. He was dropping in the main, dropping in the natural, dropping in the fourth. At the same time, he was doing stuff back home. I know, like, people at home might be trying to do that with their Medivacs, but then, like, they're finding their minerals skyrocket. Well, Polt's minerals were skyrocketing. That's because he had about 8 orbital commands. He had about 6 bases.
He was maxed the whole time.
Yeah, he was messing around a little bit, I think, at the end of that game.
He was surely having fun with those Medivacs, and boy was his drop play convincing.
Yeah.
But he's up 1-0. We'll take a short break and be right back with game number 2.